So I'm fairly certain that we are live. I'm just going to adjust this camera just because I feel like it. Is that better, Chris, or was it okay before?
It's good either way.
Oh, all right. Okay. So, good evening. Oh, good evening. Good evening, everybody. Here we are. We are off the cuff. And before we begin properly, of course, I have my spirit guide, Great Eagle. I know you all want for me to say hello to him, and I know you guys all want to say hello to him. He's standing to my right side, and we have a Vermont visitor once again. Chris, what would we do without you? It wouldn't be the show without you, would it?
You'd have kind of a tough time logging on, I think.
Yeah. Well,
But how was your day today?
oh, let me see. Well, let me see. Well, of course, we did the show this morning. I popped over to the neighbour this afternoon because one of them is leaving for 2 or 3 weeks or something. So I wanted to ask exactly what day, and I picked up some lamb shanks. I'm going to make ossobuco, yummy, yummy, for them on Saturday. And then how sweet they were. They brought me my dinner tonight on the way to the jetties to watch the sunset. So they just dropped it off, say, here you go, we're off to the jetties. And had I not been doing the show, I would have probably said, can I come too? Because it's a great place to go. The jetties is sort of it's a place that you walk out onto. When you go there, there's lots of parking and so on. It's a perfect place to see the sunset, and you can walk onto the jetties and along the jetty, and it's almost like you're walking out into the middle of the ocean, and you can see dolphins, and occasionally there's a manatee you can see, maybe 2 or 3. Excuse me. Very often there are dolphins. I was once walking along the jetties and I saw the most enormous turtle swimming there. It's a beautiful place, and I'm making you all jealous now. Anyway, so what else did I do today? Oh, yes, clean sheets on the bed. I'm so excited. I love clean sheets on the bed. You know, I had a friend a few years ago she had a great deal of money, and she had lots of people helping her in her house, and I went to visit her one time, and every single day they changed the sheets. And I've always thought if I had more money than I knew what to do with, I'd pay someone to come and put clean sheets on my bed so that every night I could climb into them. Anyway, I've got my clean sheets on my bed. I love it because I'm a laundry fiend. There's something else you didn't know about me, did you? Now, if anyone had asked Samantha when she was younger, not that much younger, but from being very small to probably even now, somebody said to her, what is your mother's favorite room in the house? She would definitely say the laundry room, because I am fanatical about laundry. See, I can be very anal when the mood takes me, but I have to do my laundry. It has to be folded in a certain way. It has to be washed in a certain way. It has to be dried in a certain way. All of that stuff. Am I boring you all, Chris?
No, you're freaking me out.
Anyway, I don't care what anybody else does with their laundry. I just know it has to be folded just so and hung just so. And anyway, I'm a little anal in that regard. So I did some of that today. And then what did I do? Then I can't remember what else I did, but stuff like that. Oh, I know what I did, of course. One of the most important things I did today, we're back to food. Now, just want to say that when I went over to my neighbour's house, she said to me, I watched your gardening show this morning.
Oh, wow.
Because for those of you who didn't get to watch this morning, we were talking about building a little piece of heaven for ourselves, and actually sort of, planting and creating your own garden, even if it's only on paper. and inviting your loved ones from the spirit world to join you in your little piece of heaven. And I was also talking about the fact that I planted a malice, which is a dark cherry, beautiful, beautiful, one of the nicest, I think, of the blossoms, the cherry blossoms, because they always also they have such a nice shape to them as they get bigger. But anyway, so so my neighbour said I didn't get to watch it all, but it was about gardening. She said, okay, well I didn't have time to explain. But yesterday I got some really nice cubed beef. For those of you who don't eat meat, close your ears right now. It is an old-fashioned, a very, very old-fashioned Victorian recipe that I use. And it's delicious. And you take sort of beef, stewing beef, something like that, cook it really, really slowly. I use my little crock pot for the experience. And then you just put everything in a blender, add melted butter and cream, and you've got yourself the most delicious, really quite smooth and delicious beef pate, which we in England call potted beef, because they used to, in the olden days, in the Victorian days, when people didn't have ice, they didn't have places to keep things cool, they'd make this stuff. They'd seal it with butter or lard or some kind of fat on the top to stop the air from getting into the meat, because it's the air, when the air gets into the meat, that's when it gets it goes off. So they do all of that. So I make my potted beef just in that way, and it is absolutely delicious. And as I was putting it into the little pots to put in the freezer, I was licking the bowl as I was going around. You know how you do that stuff. Anyway, so you wanted to know what my day was like, Chris. That's sort of part of my day.
Well, it's quite busy.
What have you been doing today?
Moving boxes, moving furniture, sorting through boxes. Oh, it's been just a trip.
Has it? Have you enjoyed it really, or not?
No,
Oh, I'm sorry for that. I'm really sorry for that.
it's good to see what I've accomplished,
Yeah,
but yeah.
yeah. It's tough when you're clearing out, and I mean, I'm clearing out one of my big closets. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm having to let go of things that I don't really want to let go of. And wait a minute, didn't I wear that suit on the Oprah Winfrey show? And didn't I wear that jacket on the Maury Povich show? Wait a minute, didn't I? I think I wore that on the Lisa show. And so many memories with so many of the clothes that I've kept. But of course, also I was so skinny then in those days. So sometimes you just have to let things go, which I am trying so hard to do. Anyway.
Well, we could get a bidding war going on those outfits. I mean, aren't there famous people who wear, some spectacular gown or something and they put it up for charity and there
Yeah,
you go.
yeah,
There's something else you could do.
you can have all of my stuff if you want it. But I warn you, it's tiny. So, anyway. Uh, okay. Do we, wait, hold on. Is there anybody there, Chris? Is there anybody there tonight?
There is. Michael has a very interesting question.
Oh, hello, Michael. Weren't you there this morning? Okay, go, Chris.
He was. He says, we have to give your fan base a name. For example, Mariah Carey's fan base are called the Lambs, and pop singer Rihanna's fan base is called the Navy. So we need to come up with something clever for your fan base.
Have you been into my fan page? Has anybody been into my fan page? Somebody runs it. I have no idea who, but I do have a fan page. I think you can go into Instagram and you can discover the Rosemary Altea fan base. But Michael, you know what? I agree with you. I tell you, who I loved watching on the Graham Norton show. Okay, so there was oh gosh, of course now I've forgotten the names of these people. There were two guys on. Both of them have, of course, millions of fans. Who's the guy who played? Uh, who's the guy? The British guy who's an amazing actor? Why Cumberbatch. Yes, you know who I mean, right?
I don't.
He's so amazing. It's such a. If I could think, anybody listening, come on, help me out here. Anyway, he calls his fans Cumberbitches, or did, but they keep changing them, so you never quite know.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict. Yeah, Cumberbatch. Yeah, I'm sure it's Cumberbatch, Cumberbund. Anyway, whatever it is, he's amazing. He's an amazing actor, and he was on with, of course, now I've forgotten who he was on with on the Graham Norton show. He was on with someone else, and they did this fun thing that they asked the audience, "Are you his fan or his fan? Have you come to see him or have you come to see him?" And they had all these fabulous names that they gave to themselves. Never mind, I don't know what they call them, but Michael, I love that idea. If anybody wants to come up with a name for my fan page, we'd love it. We'd love to have that. That sounds like a fantastic thing to do. And again, I think for those of you who, you see, didn't even know I had a fan page, did you see? But for those of you who would like to be a fan, please be a fan. Can you please be a fan? Can you please be a fan? If you could think of a name, that would be great. Yes. It is, after all, my birthday month. So I think we should give me a good name. Right?
Absolutely.
Ideas off the top of your head, Chris? Anybody out there? Ideas off the top of your head? It is, by the way, off the cuff. So why not think off the cuff? Okay.
Karen Young agrees. He is amazing. Lorraine says he's a very good actor.
Oh, he's an amazing actor. One of the best ever. He's amazing.
And Karen H says, I know the show and I can't remember.
Well, for anybody out there who's watching in England, Ireland, Scotland, wherever you guys are out there, Wales, better mention Wales as well. You'll know the Graham Norton show, but you can get it on YouTube and it's fantastic. It's a fun show. He has all the top stars, and he himself, Graham Norton, is really, really funny. He's funny, but he's a great interviewer as well. Anyway, go, Chris. Keep going.
Karen says it's Chris Pine Nuts versus Cumberbatch.
Yes, Cumberbatch. Yes. So that's right. Are you a pine nut or are you a Cumberbitch? That's what they were saying. It was so funny. It was a really funny show. But Michael, I want to know, how did you find out that I have a fan page? Or are you the one organizing a fan page? I know that someone's organizing the fan page because it happens to be on Instagram. So there you have it. Chris, keep going.
Well, I think this is the time where we say to people, we're only on as long as you send in questions and comments.
Yeah. We're not playing around here. I mean, what do you think? You think we've got nothing else to do? I think they think we've got nothing better to do, Chris, than to entertain them. And we do. We have lots of things to do. So I'm thrilled that we can do this, and I'm thrilled to entertain you. But hey, you got to reciprocate. You got to entertain me too. So yes, as soon as the questions dry up, we shall be off. Yes. So I had delicious fish for dinner tonight. I don't want to get into food again, and I don't want to get into gardening again, but just mentioning that I did have some delicious fish courtesy of my fabulous neighbors. Right.
So, Rosemary, you and I were talking this morning about
Yeah.
the different ways you problem solve.
Oh, yeah.
So, we know that you can speak to people who most people label as dead. But when you speak to them, since the spirit world sees all, like the name of your show,
Yeah.
there are things that they can help along with Gray Eagle in answering.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Of the
Well,
things,
not can they do. Just to clarify, they can and do.
of the things that you can problem solve, what are your favorites?
Oh gosh. Uh, um, anything to do with kids. I often have people come to me because they've got maybe a teenager or a child who's having difficulties, or I remember a wonderful client of mine. She and her husband, they were having real difficulties with their teenage daughter, and they were at their wits' end as to know quite what to do. So that was a problem that I was able to solve. And different, it's not just the standard, let's roll out this idea, and this is how you can solve it. Each problem, each remedy for the problem, each little bit of guidance is for that individual person. It's not just, we don't just have standard answers that we roll out. It depends on the person. It depends on, the issue at hand. So anything to do with kids, I'm there, because our kids really need help and guidance, don't they? Let me see what else. I recently had a situation. This has been ongoing for about 2 years now, and this family, fabulous family, um, uh, son and daughter and mother and her husband died in very tragic circumstances, and they saved up to book a consultation with me, and then I felt so I don't know what it was. I felt so in tune with the family that I helped them, because they were trying desperately to figure out um, the compensation that she was entitled to from her husband's accident. And of course, as lawyers always do, they talk a lot, they write a lot of letters, and they keep you waiting, and they're just hoping that you're going to give up. Don't you think, Chris? Sometimes they're just hoping that you're going to get tired before they're going to address it. So I decided that I just would help these people. So every time they had different other issues as well. So I just said, okay, just call me when you need me. We'll figure it out. And so I've been talking to them on and off the last couple of years. And about, I don't know, last week or something, I had a text to say we finally got the check. Yay. So they finally were paid out. And these people are on the breadline. They were really, desperate for money. And they were living a really, really terrible life, because they'd lost their, the main income. And then and then I got another text to say, we're seeing you in a few days, and I've finally been able to pay for my consultation. I thought that was lovely too. So lots of different ways. So we were able to help to figure out what she needed to do in order to get the lawyers and the people who like to just, drag their heels. We were able to give some help and guidance to that problem. I had the most phenomenal, very cute, very wonderful problem that I had to solve. I have to be careful now, because I don't want to give away anything to the person who called me, because our consultations are private. But I think I can tell you this much. So she had a concern, a problem, a very big problem, with her mother, who had recently had a stroke. And that was not the problem. Now, no, you see, that you should live my life. There are so many curiosities and so many exciting and unusual and different things that I come across. So, so this particular issue was, and I was able to talk to people in the spirit world who told me actually what the issue was. And it was discovered that there was a person in their family who was a magpie, otherwise known as maybe a kleptomaniac. A beautiful, gorgeous, wonderful woman who used to pinch things. Just you couldn't take her anywhere. She'd often go with empty pockets and come back with her pockets maybe not exactly full, but with something added in the pocket. And it was so interesting because so many people in the family were thinking, you know, what can we do about this? Well, we have to put her away somewhere. And yet, this lady's father came through from the spirit world to say, hold on, hold on, hold on. This has been going on since she was a little girl. This is not a new thing that she does. This has been going on since she was little. And as I was listening, I thought, oh gosh, if this lady were younger, she'd be a perfect candidate for the bottom brick, because we'd be able to take the issue that she had and discover as it was. We were able to do that anyway. But it turns out that even when she was a little girl, she was always playing the role of peacemaker, keeping peace between the parents, keeping peace between the family. Then she married and had a family, and keeping peace between the children, keeping peace with her husband. And that was all she was doing. She was just keeping the peace the whole time. And so on some subconscious level, she must have felt that every now and again, if she saw a glittery, shiny thing or something that she just, you know, just took her fancy, that she might just um, help herself to it. And you know, there were so many people in the family who didn't like it. But I was told that this lady is lovely. She has a lovely personality. She's a real carer. She takes care of people. She's a wonderful mother. She's a wonderful sister. And her father, again in the spirit world, was able to say, just leave her alone. It's one of her little foibles, and what? And so what? Just if you take her out anywhere, just surreptitiously search the pockets to give back whatever she's taken. She didn't take things because she was greedy. She didn't take things because she was mean. She just couldn't help herself. If she saw a little shiny thing, she just, I guess, on a subconscious level, felt, oh, maybe I deserve that. That's going to make me feel better. And so sad that somebody would have to do that, but so wonderful when I hear all these people in the spirit world say, and so what? She's not hurting anyone. You can check the pockets in her bag and all the rest of it before she leaves anywhere. You can warn unsuspecting people. She sometimes does this if you feel that it is necessary. But be tolerant of it. Have a little patience. Um, you know, there was a question, should we confront her? The answer came back from the spirit world, absolutely not. Because, well, she was far too old to be confronted and far too old to change her ways anyway. And so I just thought it was wonderful that the spirit world saw this and saw it for what it was. We might say a cry for help, a cry for attention. But this had been going on for so many years now that there was nothing you could do to change it. But how wonderfully tolerant and loving her family in the spirit world was to say, we love her anyway. So lots of problems like that. I think there are so many, it's so hard to say. You know, somebody's got an issue with their home or their mortgage, or someone's got financial issues, or, you know, whatever. I mean, someone's got damp in the cellar. Is it worth repairing, or should we just dig it out, or what should we do? Trillions of ordinary, everyday problems that people face.
Well, I've seen you
Uh-oh.
enter a mastermind group of individuals, each one of them wanting to do something specific and you coming up with reasons. Let's see, I'm going to have to rephrase that. You coming up with answers, helping them see what their stumbling blocks were.
Yes.
So you help groups and organizations and
Yeah,
people in the business world.
I do. And it's so rewarding to do it because you talk to people and they have these issues. They might be having issues with someone in the office. They might be having issues with their spouse, whatever the issue is, or they might simply be having issues with the work they're doing is either boring or they feel they're not capable of it, whatever the issue is. And when you go in, and especially when you go in with groups and you talk to groups of people like that, um, all of a sudden you start to see people's faces change when they have that aha moment. Oh, they say, I I never thought of it like that. I never thought to look at it that way. People have that epiphany, that revelation, just by the smallest things very often that you can say to them. And it's amazing that this way of helping people to solve their problems. I mean, and you've seen the bottom brick exercise, and most people have seen the bottom brick exercise, and that, let me tell you, is just the tip of the iceberg, because we do so much more than that. And it's so powerful and people are so inspired by that. And it is so true that it often takes somebody else to look at a problem and to see it from a point of view of it's not being emotionally involved, not being connected in any way. They can sit back and look at it as it really is, then they look at the situation as it really is, rather than having an agenda, or wanting to have a particular outcome. I don't care what the outcome is. I just tell you what's going on, what is, why it is, and how you can change it or how you can alter it. And it's fantastic for me when I do see, all of a sudden the light bulb goes on. I never thought of it like that. And you know that they're going to get it, and you know that they're going to change the way that they're thinking about the things that are going on, which is half the deal of problem solving.
Do you think Gray Eagle would be willing to tell us what the most gratifying part of the work he does with you is?
Yes, although I don't think it's going to be an answer you're going to perhaps understand or like or something. But he obviously knew you were going to ask that question, Chris. He must be able to read minds. He obviously knew you were going to ask that question because he was already with his answer. So the most gratifying
Part of the work he does with
part
you.
of the work that he does with me, he's laughing at me. I can see his eyes are twinkling. So here is his answer to me. And he looks at me and smiles and says, "It's you." So I am apparently the most.
Aw,
Isn't that nice?
that's
But
really nice.
yes, but you see, I can turn it right back around. So that's the kind of relationship that we have. We know each other, we love each other, we care about each other, and I have to say I've not always been a great student, and I'm still not always a great student. There are times when he tells me something and I just don't want to listen. You know how you talk to your kids and they just don't want to hear it. Uh, sometimes he tells me things that I just don't want to hear it because it's not the answer I want. But at the same time, I'm not foolish enough to ignore him. So his most gratifying and my most gratifying part of doing this is the gratification that we get working with each other. Yeah, I wonder what it would be like if he. Well, I hope he never goes off and works with anybody else. He can't leave me. Don't leave me. Anyway, yes. So, do we have any questions? Are people sort of
We do. We have
questions,
some questions lining up.
whatever's going on here?
So Michael came back to say, Rosemary, that's amazing that you still have your suits from your big TV appearances.
No.
Kim Kardashian recently wore one of Marilyn Monroe's dresses to the Met Gala. She had
Oh,
to lose 16 pounds in 3 weeks, 3 week time period to fit into it.
but she wouldn't look as good, would she? Just saying. That's my opinion. Interesting though, isn't it? Yes, but yes, I still do have, and even shoes, which I did actually. Uh, I've got piles and piles and piles of bags with stuff to go to Goodwill, and some of those shoes were so expensive and so nice. And anyway, they're gone now, and more are going. So if anybody wants anything, as long as you're prepared to pay for the postage and packing, otherwise I'm just going to take it to Goodwill. Okay, Chris.
Carol says, fondest and happiest of greetings from Texas. My question is, how exactly do or can help our loved ones assist us through giving us?
I don't understand that question at all. Can you sort of put it into?
I'm going to guess maybe the process, the actions our loved ones take to assist us.
Every day in every way, is what I'm hearing Greg will say. Sometimes it's a tap on the shoulder. Sometimes, those thoughts that you have that go through your mind, and sometimes those thoughts are your own, but very often those thoughts are the energy, the force of nature that is your loved ones, and they're sort of, let's say, putting ideas into your head or making suggestions to you. So sometimes it's your thoughts. We're all born with this incredible uh, gift, this incredible, let's say, those feelings that we have. Every time we ignore those feelings, things go wrong. Every time we pay attention to those feelings, things go right. So your feelings, your thoughts, sometimes you'll get a gift, a feather dropped at your feet. You better pay attention if you get a feather. Somebody's trying to tell you something. So, the spirit world are always finding ways to connect with us and to communicate with us. And, I'll often say to people, I see your mother in the spirit world. I see her uh, brushing your face, brushing your cheek with her fingertips, and very often people say to me, "But yes, but why can't I feel it then?" And I say to them, because you're not paying attention. So you've got to pay attention. You've got to be aware. You've got to be open enough to understand that these things do happen. That somebody is tickling the back of your neck, or they are sort of itching your scalp, or they are poking you on the nose, or whatever it is that they do. The spirit world, different people find different ways to let you know that they're around, and it's up to us to pay attention to all of those things.
So this morning you were talking about people who are grieving. That tends to be a barrier to them being able to see, sense, experience the things you just described. Is there anything else that would be a barrier beside not paying attention?
It's not the grieving that's the barrier, let's be clear. It's the energy that we are using. If our energy is depleted, or if our thoughts are clouded because our energy isn't, as it perhaps ought to be or might be. Grief, emotion of any kind, tends to shroud us, tends to affect our aura, our energy field, tends to muddle our energy field. And then constantly, if you can imagine that, when you get particularly emotional about something, or you get really deeply depressed about something, it's almost like, how people say you have a cloud over your head. That is the emotion, the devastation, the trauma that you're going through, the inability for you to handle it, uh, in a positive way. And let's face it, so many things go wrong with us, and it is very, very hard sometimes to deal with traumatic and tragic situations in a positive way. But it does act as a, I don't want to say it acts as a barrier because it's not strictly true, but it certainly muddles things. So, it's like someone's trying to get through to you and you're very negative and they're trying to push through because they know how much you need it. But if you're not listening, or if you're not paying attention, there's not a lot they can do to get through to you. So we have to try, if we can, even through the most difficult times, we have to be trying to try and be open and to be positive, and always to be, if we can be, always be aware of what's going on around us. The slightest shadow, that thing that flits across out of the corner of your eye, you see something moving, or there's a shadow moving, small things, or you might hear, a sound. And it's today after the show, I made myself a drink. I thought I'm just going to have some lunch, and then I'm going to get on with doing other things. And I'm sitting on the sofa and I hear this sort of almost like a buzzing sound, but so soft, barely there at all. And I stopped and I paid attention to it, and I'm thinking, did a fly get caught? Because I'm a very skeptical person. I think it's healthy to be skeptical. Don't just assume because you hear a buzzing then it's someone in the spirit world using a buzzsaw or something, because it's not necessarily. It could be anything and everything. But I actually came to the conclusion that someone was trying to get my attention, maybe telling me, you need to get off your butt right now. Come on, you've got work to do. Whatever it was. But we just have to pay attention.
Barb's is asking, so what advice would you give to someone who is dealing with some health problems to ease their minds to find some comfort?
Well, I certainly would, as far as health is concerned. And it depends. As I said earlier, everybody's situation is different than everybody else's. Even if you both have the same disease and it affects the same part of the body, it's different because people are different and the way they handle things is different. So each person, we don't just roll out here is the answer to that, because each answer and each problem being solved is literally personal to that person that you're talking to at the time. But certainly giving healing, we're going to be on Monday, I'm going to be doing a healing event, which you're all invited to. Chris can tell you where the link is, or just go to my website, rosemaryaltea.com, and you'll find it there. The first thing, and especially with health problems, and that doesn't necessarily mean physical health problems, it can mean all kinds of health problems. But the first thing is that we look to healing, and we look to finding a positive way to create wonderful, calming, gentle, healing energy. We look to help people to change their energy, to be susceptible to healing, to be welcome to welcome healing, to be open to healing, because really healing works. And then depending on the situation, there are lots of different things that each person can do to help themselves.
Lorraine says, how is your back feeling?
Brilliant. Fabulous.
All right, she
Went out,
continues.
I went out today. I've got to deadhead all of my fabulous gardenias. They're looking so brown and taking away from all the new buds that are coming out. And I just couldn't do it, because even the slight movement forward is just hurts. So maybe I'll go out tomorrow, but I can only do certain amount. Then it's like, am I telling myself this, or is this really true? I'll vacuum for all of about half an hour, 45 minutes at the max, and I've got to sit down because it's such a strain on my back. I know that if I sit down and rest for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I can get back up and carry on and do it again. I'm such a frail little thing, aren't I? What can I say? Chris,
Well,
keep going.
Lorraine continued. She said, "You are amazing how you do not become overwhelmed with ache and pain and are able to carry on being so gracious. For me, I get quite annoyed that lately, since I turned 70, I
Uh-oh.
cannot complete a task without some aches. This may be a request for advice from Auntie, etc., your new show you spoke of this morning. I know it's trivial, but..."
No, it isn't trivial at all. I know, oh, sweetheart, I know exactly how you feel. You know, sometimes I have to really push myself. For instance, today I had to push myself to make the potted beef because if I don't make it today, I might as well chuck it all out because it won't be any good, you know. Well, I don't know about quite like that, but you know what I'm saying. Sometimes there are things you have to push yourself to do. And this afternoon, I could have easily laid on the sofa and taken a nap. But I got two lots of laundry, and I just told you, I told you this morning, I am fanatical about my laundry. It has to be just exactly so. I'm really a pain in the butt with my laundry, but it makes me feel good. And uh, so I just stripped the bed. I knew first of all I got to deal with the laundry. I knew I'd got to make the bed, and I knew I'd got to make that potted beef. So knowing all of these things, I think, I think it's all really, it's not about the physical thing. I think it's about a state of mind and just knowing your limitations. For instance, I put the bottom sheet on the bed, and I've got these great sheets that sort of fit nicely. You've got little tabs that tell you the top and the bottom. Anyway, so I do that, and then I go away and do something else, giving my back a little rest, and then I come back and complete the task. I think you've got to know yourself. You've got to know, if I are these aches and pains something that I need to deal with, in other words, do I need to go to the doctor, or should I get some arthritis cream, or should I be considering, if you've got arthritic joints, everybody, no dairy and nothing from the cow. That is my suggestion.
Or
No
sugar.
salt. No, sugar's fine. No salt, no dairy, nothing from the cow. And my father always used to take a cod liver oil capsule every every day of his life. And even though he was only 70 when he died of all sorts of other things, but he never had a cold, never knew him to have a cold in his life. So you have to take a look at what you're eating. You have to take a look at your diet. And we know perfectly well. I know I had one piece of fish for my dinner tonight, and I know perfectly well I shouldn't have had the second piece that they brought me, but they did because they like to feed me up. I don't know why, because geez, I really need to sort of focus on getting the weight off. But I think you've got to just know what it is that you can deal with, and you don't have to give up doing something. You just have to give up doing it for a long time. Do things in short bursts. I find myself to be really a very lucky person because I don't take any medications of any kind. I go to the doctor for, I don't know, what the last time I went to the doctor, I went somewhere or another, and then they say to you, and so can you give us a list of medications? And yes, sure, zero. And you go to the dentist and they say, can you give us a list of medications? Yeah, no. And I rarely even take an aspirin, although yesterday, boy, oh boy, did I have a headache yesterday in the afternoon, but that was because I'd had a very busy and a very strenuous day. But I just deal with it, I'm not the person who reaches for the medicine. That doesn't mean if you're taking medicines that you should stop. It just means maybe you should revise what you're taking, because so many doctors prescribe this, that, and the other, and then when you come to look at them all, they're in conflict with each other very often. So I'm very fortunate in that I don't take medications, but that's just my choice.
Karen says, I have decided to forgive my mom, who is a narcissistic person, for all she did to me. She is 88, but I am still going to see her when I can. We don't live near each other. Thoughts about forgiveness?
I don't believe, oh gosh, here we go. Chris, get ready to be bombarded with all this awful stuff people are going to write. I actually don't believe in forgiveness. Shall I leave it at that or shall I explain?
I think she would
Oh,
explain. She would like the explanation.
okay. I know full well that the church, religion, well, good people all over the world will tell you you've got to forgive. Um, some people say forgive and forget, but there are some things you can't forget, right? Some things you can't forget. But so perhaps forgiveness is necessary. I don't believe in forgiveness. I believe so much more in acceptance. You either accept a person, warts and all, you take a look at what they did in the past or how they behaved or what they did to you, and you accept them because you love them and you just simply want to accept who they are, or you don't. If you're going to forgive, first of all, you have to judge, because you have to judge the actions of a person. And I don't feel qualified to judge. So I'm not necessarily going to forgive you, but I am going to accept you and welcome you with open arms or not, depending on the situation. But I think that we have to be very careful when we are using the word forgiveness, because forgiveness implies that we've judged you, we've found you wanting, perhaps, and but we're going to be benevolent and we're going to forgive you anyway. I would rather, my darling, that you take a look at your aged mother, um, and just, for all her narcissism and for all of the stuff that she has, her characteristics that you don't like, focus on the things that you do like, focus on the characteristics that are good, that are nice. If you want to accept your mother, if you want to still keep in contact with her, and if you want to have a relationship with her, stop focusing on the negative. And if you can, and it's tough to do, but stop focusing on the negative and start to take a look at all the reasons why you still want this relationship to go forward. You still want to keep this relationship with your mother. So she must have some good stuff there. You must have had some good times together. You just accept her. I am so glad that people don't judge me, because let me tell you, my daughter my daughter judges me. I think our kids are the most critical of us, aren't they? She sort of, she likes to uh, poke the bear, so to speak. I know that most of us with children, and especially if we have a great relationship with them and a good open relationship with them, we encourage them to, to not be shy to say, what they feel about us and what they think about us from time to time when we do something. But it's we just accept each other. She has her faults. Oh, yes, she does. I have mine, which are probably many more than she has. Um, she's much more willing to let things go than I am. She will, if you upset her, she can come bouncing right back. Whereas if you upset me, I have to think about it for a while. See, I'm not so nice all the time. We all have our faults, we all have our failings, and we all have our little foibles. And there, but for the grace of God, go I. And so I would rather not be forgiven for my transgressions. I would rather be accepted for them and for who I am, because my transgressions are part of who I am. Ha ha. I want people's opinions on that. Ha
Well, we'll
ha.
give them a minute. Meanwhile, we'll continue.
Okie dokie.
All right. Carol says, "You are such a blessing to us. Please know this. And do our loved ones truly, not our spouses who we loved and they loved us to no end. So do our loved ones see our hearts and see truth? Is there a hall of records?"
I think the Hall of Records is in our own memory. I think that when we pass into the spirit world, it isn't that somebody else is looking at it and looking at us and judging us. It is us who have to look at ourselves. We see the effects that we've had on other people, the negative and the positive. You know, life flashes before you. You see that the screaming banshee that you were when you were upset about something and you couldn't control your temper, or you see, you know, the kindnesses and the good things that you did, or you see how you affect other people. And so, you know, you have to you have a reckoning with your own self. And I think, you know, I think that's how it works. I think I've forgotten the question there. Can't think if I answered that question or
You
not.
did. You did.
Okay.
Barb says, "My love always loved to rub my head in spite of me getting a little upset of him messing up my
Yeah.
hair.
How irritating would that be?
Sometimes in the morning as I wake, I feel my hair moving. I so love that as I feel it's a sign he's
And
still
you
with
do
me."
know that it's him, don't you? You do know that there he is tickling your hair, probably thoroughly enjoying the fact that he can see that he irritated you to no end. Can people in the spirit world see our hearts? Can they see us? Can they see who we are? And you've all heard me say this before. The moment I realized, which is so many years ago now, the moment I realized just how clearly those in the spirit world do see us, I started using bubble bath in my bath water. Now, people think that's funny. They think I'm joking, but truthfully, I'm not at all. Just made me feel better.
Annika says, "I sometimes hear a ringing. I always feel that if I were able to raise my vibration, I could hear what is being said, as I think it's a communication from the spirit world."
Well, you know, learning to raise your level of consciousness. And when we do healing and when we're giving healing, which is, you know, we're going to be doing that on Monday and I think maybe another day in the week as well. But when you learn to raise your level of consciousness, what you're doing is you're learning to become more in tune, first of all, with your own senses and your own sensitivity. And when you become in tune with your own senses and your own sensitivity, and you raise your level and you become more in tune and more attuned to the sensitivity, the incredible, you know, senses that we have. When all of those senses, when all of those five senses join together, that is when the sixth sense clicks in. Everybody wants to search for the sixth sense. We all have the sixth sense, but we have to tune in to our five common senses. Get on a level, on a higher plane of thinking, on a higher spiritual plane. Raise your level of consciousness to the point where those five senses all come together. And there you have it. You're tuning into your sixth sense.
Karen says, "Recovering from surgery is taking so long. Pain is longer than expected. I will check in on Monday for your healing program."
Good. And we shall definitely be sending you healing. And we'll be doing that before Monday. So, Chris, if you could write her name down, we'll be sending you healing every day. And you know, it is, I remember, you know, so long ago now, my hospital visits, my situation where I was very sick, in a coma for a while there, having to have two surgeries, not quite back to back, but within 3 or 4 months of each other, two severe, very uh, you know, very tricky surgeries, and having a rib removed and some plastic bits being put in and a kidney taken out and And then the nurses brought me a steak and kidney pie, and they laughed and said, "And you know where this came from, don't you?" I had some great nurses.
Oh, jeez.
I had great nurses years ago, and I was in the hospital in Kettering, which is in Leicestershire. And boy, oh boy, you know, I mean, my nurses were fabulous. There was one who was not so much, but most of them were fantastic. But when you're presented, having gone through all of that stuff, and you're presented with a steak and kidney pie, and they say, "Enjoy." And of course, I used to love kidney, but I've never been able to eat it since. Anyway, sometimes the the recovery takes a long time, and then, as with me and as with most people here who've had sort of serious surgeries, then things crop up from time to time throughout the years. And I think it's only 5 years ago that I collapsed in the car park in the town that I live in now, on my knees. This is why I don't eat anything with oxalates if I can help it, because oxalates connect with the calcium in your body to cause stones and crystals and all sorts of other naughty stuff. And then you get nasty big kidney stones, which they, anyway, let's not go into that. So, being sick is not an easy thing for anyone, but if you know how to give healing to yourself, and we're going to show you how to do that on Monday, and if you know how to, the kinds of things that you need to be focusing on, and the way that you need to use your visualization techniques, which we're also going to talk a little bit about on Monday. But if you don't want to wait until Monday, go into YouTube and look for type in "healing hands around the world." And you'll see I've done this so many times, and there's so many videos that you can watch where I show you how to visualize using proper techniques to begin your healing. I give you the healing prayer that I use. So you don't actually even have to wait till Monday. Just go into YouTube and type in Rosemary Altea, whatever that is, healing hands around the world, and you'll find me. See?
All right. Well, we're getting close to time. I do have 5 more comments. So they're answering your question.
Okay.
So I am says about acceptance and forgiveness.
I got it.
So I am says that makes a lot of sense.
Good. I'm glad.
Karen says, okay, I can accept her then, and it makes sense about forgiveness.
Good. Just, if we can accept other people, warts and all, we hope that they can accept us too, warts and all, because we've all of us got something about us that isn't perfect by any means.
Lorraine says, acceptance, not forgiveness. Good one.
I like it. Good. Thank you. I like that you like it.
Rhonda says, whenever I find myself starting to be judgmental, I immediately say to myself, acceptance, acceptance.
Good, Rhonda. What a good student you are.
And Annika says, acceptance sounds good. I like your explanation.
Good. I'm glad. Well, look at that, Chris. We've inspired people today. Do you think we've inspired people today?
I hope so.
So are we up to time? Is that it then? Are we done?
We are.
All right. Well, then, thank you so much, everybody. We love these off the cuffs, don't we, Chris? We can talk about anything we like, and we're often, the conversations often driven by the comments and questions that are in the chat room as well, which we also like. So I shall be back on Saturday morning with what? I should be back on Saturday morning with story time. And on Monday, I'll definitely be certainly showing you what I do and how I give healing to people, and which means anyone who's watching, I shall definitely be giving healing to you guys. We may well be doing something on Sunday or not. We're going to just take it as it comes, but why not just keep going with the off the cuff stuff, Chris? Because we love it, don't we?
We do.
Before we close, you see, I'm always the one in the hot seat in these shows. So I'm going to ask you, Chris, what is it? What is your most favourite part of the shows? What is it that you particularly love to do when we're working together? I'm throwing the question at you that you threw at Grey Eagle and myself.
I think I like to see the results, the ahas, the change in a person's face when I can see their face. But, if we're on a webinar, we can hear their voice. Sometimes we can see their face.
Yeah,
I think back to your live events, which we'll get back to, but to see a person come in skeptical or drawn or what have you, and walking out as if they're walking out in a cloud of air.
yeah.
It's like watching a miracle happen. That's the part I enjoy.
Well, all right. Thank you. Well, thank you for that. We hope that maybe we've given out a few little tiny miracles today. And we should probably be giving out more tomorrow and Saturday and every day, actually. So until I see you again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We just love the off the cuffs. We love that you can ask questions, give us your comments. We love to hear what you're thinking and feeling. Chris, I'd like to say thank you to you, especially because who wouldn't know where we were without all that technical stuff that you do. And particularly, I'd like to say thank you to Grey Eagle. It is my birthday month. It is May. We are celebrating. We're coming to the end of the 25th year anniversary of the Eagle and the Rose. Let's not forget that. So we're going to be doing lots of stuff in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Until I see you again, whether it's on Saturday morning or whether it's whenever we see you, you never know. I might pop in, you never know when. Until I see you guys again, thank you so very much for joining us. Please, everybody, have a very, very blessed rest of the day or night, or if you're in Australia, it's the morning. So have a very blessed rest of however long you want it to be. And if not before, we shall see you on Saturday. Bye-bye. Are we still on air, Chris? Are we still there? Is there anybody?